Welcome to NFL Daily, where it doesn't take much for us to get back on the Travis Hunter hype train. I'm Gregg Rosenthal. I never jumped off.
Yeah.
I'm there for life. I'm here for life. Chris Wesseling's podcast studio. It includes Patrick Claybon on this fine Monday in training camp. What's happening?
Not much. It's just like you, Gregg. I never left.
Yeah.
I think people are amazed at this idea that this 22-year-old would turn 23 and he would add body mass. But yeah, this is all a part of the plan. This is how things progress and grow. And I'm excited to see first-team All-Pro cornerback Travis Hunter.
Let's go with like 600 yards and 5 touchdowns, but about 11 jaw-dropping plays at wide receiver. How about that as a season?
Yeah, I mean, that's icing. I don't even know if that's icing. It's decoration.
Oh, I think it's happening.
That's aside, but the cake is the All-Pro cornerback.
Okay, that's fair. Let's just get into it. We taped the show Sunday evening. Thank you to everyone who checked that out. That show went through the NFC teams and what's happened at their training camp practices so far. So some notes, some takeaways on all the NFC teams. We're doing the work. We're digging through all the reporting. We're watching the press conferences to get you up to date. Today is the AFC. And yes, we were live on Sunday night, and you can join us live on Thursday night to do some camp recaps and Hall of Fame game recap after that ends around 8 p.m. Eastern. Let's start with those Jaguars. Why not? Travis Hunter, through the first 4 to 5 days of training camp, and as we're taping Monday, for most teams in the NFL, it is the first day that pads have come on. So that's a big day. All the writers, everyone gets excited. The real football starts, including in Jacksonville. But over the weekend, the pads weren't on yet, but he had what John Shipley, our friend at SI.com, who gets me up to date on Jaguars, just read his stuff, and I feel like I'm there, said it was Travis Hunter's best day as a pro on the field. Not only 2 long catches on offense and one that they had on video, the highlight grab where he just leaps up, but also a really exciting interception of Trevor Lawrence where not a great idea by Lawrence into coverage. A lot of defenders there, but a beautiful play where Travis Hunter steps in front of the ball. And so far through 4 or 5 days of camp, he's playing more defense than offense, but I would say a significant amount of offense each day. I even, people are keeping track of the snaps. It's probably about 65, 70% defense, 30, 35% offense. And so really cool to see those highlights. If you're watching us on YouTube, appreciate that. Subscribe, like. Let's listen to Travis Hunter talk to our friend Judy Batista as part of Back Together Weekend, talking about that weight you mentioned earlier.
In your mind, how many snaps a game do you want to be playing?
All of them.
All of them.
I can't stay on the sideline for nothing.
So you're going to go nuts when you're out of the game and just watching.
Yeah, I can't just watch the game.
That is Judy, and he just wants to play as much as humanly possible. And earlier in that interview, he mentioned the 10 pounds of weight, and yet he seems to be moving even faster. You could even see it watching him last year. I mean, he was a young kid, and he's growing into his body, and I'm all in.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to put on mass as your Travis Hunter doing what he did in college. It's exceedingly difficult to take the time to eat enough and then to do all of the things that he was doing.
Well, plus 120 snaps a game. Yeah. You got to lose some weight on that.
Well, and so to get through this process, to have the injury, not getting injured made Travis Hunter better in no capacity. I will never ever say that, but you can see the dedication that he takes and devotion to training. And I don't know how much more emphatic I could be about my hopes for Travis Hunter. I just hope that he's able to stay out there on the field, and sometimes going up for those 50-50 balls makes me a little worried.
And he caught about 3 of them on different sides of the ball on Saturday, so that's really cool. I like also that because of the roster construction, they need him more on defense. I think he's cornerback 1 for that team in the end. And at wide receiver, Parker Washington, according to Shipley, has probably been wide receiver 1 just in terms of volume. Jacoby Myers has had a few drops and off to a slow start. I'm not worried about Jacoby Myers. Brian Thomas is doing Brian Thomas things. Hunter is going to be sprinkled in a little more what do you think of Parker Washington and this offense being back, like with so much depth? You got Brenton Strange now. You got a second-round tight end. You have layers to this offense.
Yeah, it's very exciting. You want to see how, in terms of Bashal Tutin, he's going to fill in for Etienne. But with Parker Washington, the number one thing, and shout out to Parker Washington. He joined us on the Insider. He's a great guest. Asked him potentially, because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year. I'd be interested to see if Gladstone is willing, and the Jags and Liam Cohen are willing to just put something out there to go ahead and have Parker Washington here long term, because it does free you up to have Travis Hunter play cornerback and not have all these reps at wide receiver. And it seems like the money might be there, and it may not, because it's going to be crazy at the end of the year. Parker Washington has the season that he has. It's going to be nuts. He's going to be, a chief or something. Who knows?
He was drafted in the 6th round. And teams are always trying to get discounts on those late round picks. Like, he's not going to sign one of those Jalen Coker type contracts.
No.
At this point, he's going to get paid. You mentioned, the rest of the offense, Bashal Tutin. He was declared like a big winner of the first week of camp, partly just because Chris Rodriguez hasn't been out there as much. He's the other competition at running back, but he was back in team drills as we head into a new week. They appear to maybe have a new starter at guard. They paid Patrick McCarry a lot of money last year, but there's a young man, Wyatt Millam, is taking the first team reps while McCarry's getting over an injury, and he just might stay there. 2 rookies that were taken late in the draft, Josh Cameron and CJ Williams, are reportedly playing really well and look like they're going to make the roster. That's sort of what I was getting with. It's really deep. Does make you wonder a little bit about if you were going to trade Brian Thomas Jr. at some point, like next year, that sort of depth would make that easier to make happen. And then their left tackle, Cole Van Lanen, just wanted to mention he was on the PUP list. If you listened to Sunday Show, you might have remembered Ben Johnson getting a little spicy about how the Bears were regression candidates. Didn't exactly say to Liam Cohen, keep my name out your mouth, when he started talking about Caleb Williams all over NFL.com. But here is that clip from Liam Cohen talking about NFL.com and the great work that our friends are doing over there.
You're right. You know what I said to the staff the other day was, I go, guys, this is the best part of coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars. You don't have to make up telling your players stuff. You don't have to make up the fire. You don't have to make it up. It's given to us every day. Yeah. And it's like a welcome. It's a gift from the heavens. From you just scroll. I just go pull up my phone, look at the NFL Network website, and just pop up here. And I'm just curious if I see any photos or anything about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think I'll just scroll right on through.
You keep going, yeah.
I think I'll see 40 pictures of Caleb Williams, and I won't see a single thing about any of our players on here. And so it's beautiful because it's like, yeah, guys, this is great. Thanks.
The gift that keeps on giving.
I'm going to tell all these guys how much you all think they suck.
Whoa. Courtesy of 1010XL, great radio station that employs my old friend Mike Dempsey. Wow. Thoughts? You were animated watching that.
Yeah, no, it's fun because I love it that it's it's directly ironic because the Jacksonville Jaguars are a fun and interesting team to talk about that I feel like that we do all the time. And I guess that's not everybody. And, Liam Cohen is very busy. He has a football team to coach. So he may not be as attuned, but there's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 29th, 28th. I mean, I'm on NFL.com, which the search feature can be very limited. But I'm back. I'm all the way through June 23rd.
Okay.
I don't see a day where there wasn't some form of Jags.
I don't see a lot of Jags, though. And to his point, there are a couple Bears articles in the stack right now, talking about Luther Burden and whatnot. We do have a team preview with the Jaguars. You're right, lower down. We have Browns covered. We have some Chargers.
Yeah, there's 30. There's 32 of them.
Yeah.
There's 30.
I just like that
if anybody
Liam
wants
Cohen
to harvest a perceived slight, they are able to on any stretch, and Liam Cohen is very gifted at that. And
here's the thing: I don't think he's pretending. He genuinely seems annoyed all the time about the lack. I don't know. It's funny. I just like this long running bit that he has that no one pays any attention to the Jaguars. He's not totally wrong for such a promising young team who won that many games last year. They're relatively under the radar, but who cares about who's under the radar?
Yeah, and I think the people in the community who see their team shipped off all the time. They lose a home game, they feel a little bit slighted. They live in the largest landmass city in the United States of America, and routinely get disregarded for areas that don't necessarily have the size or maybe even the cultural impact that Jacksonville can have, which I think gets slept on. For him to capture that feeling that a lot of people in that community have, who are kind of, especially by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, kind of downtrodden upon, they can feel that way. I don't necessarily know that the Jags in their, that we have disregarded them.
Not here on NFL Daily, certainly. In fact, we just spent 10 minutes talking about the Jaguars, and we're hitting
15 to 20 more.
We're hitting all 16 teams. I can promise you, Jaguars fans, you got talked about more. And Liam, I hope you see this. We had you on NFL Daily. He was a great guest.
No, he's the best.
You will be talked about more on this particular episode, which includes every AFC team, more than any other team. We're not going that long on any other team. So there you go. Let's stay in the AFC South.
Well, now he hates us.
The Texans. The Texans signed Jadeveon Clowney. I mentioned it briefly Sunday night, but we were talking NFC. $5.5 million. It's up to $8 million. Weirdly, a signing I think they kind of needed. There was a huge drop. I know that sounds crazy when they have the best edge rusher duo in the entire NFL and Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, but the fall off was crazy. They didn't have much depth there, and now you got Clowney coming off like an 8.5 sack season, returning to where it all started. Patrick, the location of the first Texans playoff victory in franchise history that I was at, in which no question about it, the MVP of that game by far was Jadeveon Clowney, which is why one of many reasons why, and he also was like a second-team All-Pro one year. Like, people kind of sleep that he was very good for the Texans. It was a good number 1 overall draft pick. Very cool to see him back with that team.
Yeah, and to the extent where I wondered if there was any overlap between him and D'Amico when D'Amico was playing, but there was a 3-year gap because he had left the Texans in 2011 and Clowney was drafted in 2014. But obviously, was attuned to the franchise during his time in Philly and then his post-playing coaching career, where one of the superpowers of Jadeveon Clowney was being able to kick inside and not necessarily have any amount of like significant fall off when behaving as an interior rusher. And so the prospect of not just having him come in relief of Hunter or Anderson, but to have all three of them on the field. And again, this isn't 2016 Jadeveon Clowney, but for 4 or 5 reps late in the game when you're trying to throw the ball, yikes.
I mean, he's a third best pass rusher. Was still very productive the last few years. Never left Houston, by the way. Kept his home there throughout. Like a lot of players. Players love Houston. They love living in Houston.
And you've remarked several times about how you like this, like, late stage Revis.
Yes.
Ish. Late career by Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, remember, people say, "Oh, well, first of all, he had like a microfracture surgery. He had all sorts of physical problems." People say, "Oh, he doesn't love the game or whatever." I mean, he's still loving that game 13 years in. What a team! Might have to pick them to make the Super Bowl. They have a first-round guard in Kalen Rutledge. Just at the first day of training camp, there was like a highlight of him like blocking 20 yards downfield. Seth Payne, who I listened to some of his YouTube content, has noted the run game probably has stood out more than anything, that the run game looks a little more cohesive. They're a little deeper on the offensive line, maybe understanding what to do. David Montgomery reportedly looking pretty good in pass pro and in the receiving game, and it's him and Woody Marks, 1A, 1B. You have Jaden Higgins getting a lot of buzz, potentially making a leap. Tank Dell is out there ramping up, not doing everything all the time, and we'll see if he's in there with pads, but doing teamwork, he's not that limited. Jalen Noel, their second-year receiver, has been out for a few weeks, and then you throw in this rookie Marlon Klein, who the coaches are talking up, just in terms of a guy that he moves different than the rest of our tight ends. Little shot there at Dalton Schultz, but add it all up, and it's potential for a more dynamic Texans offense.
Yeah, and I think back because it was a 2-stage surgery for Tank Dell because he had the LCL, the meniscus, the MCL. He had that surgery and then did rehab on that. Then he finished it off with the ACL surgery. So that's why you go 2024 to now, where hopefully get him back out there and healthy and give CJ Stroud another player that he feels comfortable with. And like Dalton Schultz is a part of that. I don't know why Dalton Schultz is catching sneak dishes.
Not at all. He was a great guest too. I really liked him. I felt really bad. I've never talked to a player that had taken a playoff loss harder, where the loss was like 2 or 3 weeks old, and it's a real thing. And I think, I know you're not necessarily always fully buying in on chip watch, but how about a team-wide chip here? This is a team that's been knocking on the door.
Well, I think that they are a team that's uniquely aware of where things went wrong. Mm-hmm. And it gives them that capacity to directly address those things because they have the talent, right? There's a whole lot of people that could be very well aware of how things went wrong when they don't necessarily have the ability to overcome that. The Texans do. And it's going to take this, the way that we talk about the Bengals defense is kind of how I feel about the Texans offense, where it's like, man, they just need to be somewhat all right. I think this group can be better than somewhat all right.
Because they have a better than average quarterback in my mind. And again, our guy Seth Payne, we're two members of the Seth heads, said CJ just looking more comfortable in this second year in the system. Just thought his accuracy, which his calling card just weirdly wasn't there last training camp, and for a lot of last year was just like a little up and down, and that it's been better. Good news too is Derek Stingley is fine after a collision that didn't look great, which made me so happy because nothing worse than that happening in practice, but especially made me happy because the guy who ran into him and it didn't look great was the same guy, Jared Wayne, who ran into Tank Dell in that game that injured him. So glad to hear everyone is healthy there. Let's go to the Titans. I'm into omens. We've got some other first play analysis in this program. The first 2 plays of Titans training camp, false start. Terrible omen.
What?
4-13. You can't have false starts here. Your first 2 plays of camp? That
could be two separate players. Every grouping gets a certain part of.
No, I get it, but that's why it's an omen. It's not necessarily logical, but that sounds bad to me. What sounds better is Will Levis's confidence, who was at the podium saying there aren't 32 better quarterbacks than me. Just a reminder, Will Levis still on this roster. He's going to be battling with Mitchell Trubisky for the backup job, but Trubisky's been injured. The practice reports from Paul Koharski, for instance, indicate he doesn't think Will Levis has looked any better than he did in the past, still making the same mistakes. So Levis confident, but has had a kind of star-crossed career, if people don't remember, the second-round pick who started a lot of games that second year.
Yeah, I mean, save throwing the ball off his helmet backwards 6 times in practice. I think it's going to be difficult to see whether it's growth or regression for Will Levis in a situation like that. Clearly a player that has the talent to be out there on the field. But I would be interested, if we want to play the 5 quarterbacks that, are worse than Will Levis, it's a different.
Yeah, he's not in the top 32. I did a top 32, and for that list, I had about a top 40. And players I would comfortably put ahead of Levis, and yeah, he was not on that list. I didn't realize our crack producer, Eric Roberts, just killing it. He's doing the video, he's doing the sound. Actually has this Levis sound. I didn't even realize that. So let's just listen to it. Why not?
I don't need to go out there and win X amount of games before I can feel the confidence. Like, I have the confidence right now. I know I've put the tape out there already that I'm a dang good quarterback in this league, and I'm even better than I ever have been. So.
The faith that you have a future as a starter in this league?
100%. I know I think there are not 32 quarterbacks in this league better than me. I know that for sure.
Shout out to context. I feel completely different about the quote because Eric has provided us with the context where he's being hounded by the folks there in Nashville who are great at their jobs.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, do you hate yourself? How hard is it to sleep knowing that you are ass, right? And it's like you eventually have to defend yourself at some point and be like, I think I'm good at this. If I didn't think I'm good at this, I wouldn't be doing it.
And he is good at it on a relative scale. Just maybe not to start right now, but yeah, that became big headlines. A lot of Tajay Spears reportedly at practice in the screen game. He's finally healthy for once. He's a guy that he's gonna just kind of have to prove he can stay healthy to combine with Tony Pollard in that backfield. Calvin Ridley, who everyone's forgotten about, still out there with the first team. Carnell Tate reportedly doing his thing. Alec Iomanor sounds like he's had a good second camp, so it's probably him or Calvin Ridley as the number 3 receiver on that team, but a much better group when you have Wan'Dale Robinson in the mix. I think Chimere Dike, who people might remember was a return guy more. It seems like maybe he's getting a little left behind at receiver and is going to be more just like a gadget guy. Let's go to the Colts. Dana Jones doing everything. Had a practice on Saturday where he was 14 for 17. This isn't something where like Riley Leonard's getting in the mix here or Anthony Richardson. Like, no, everything it's all Daniel Jones all the time. Full go. Has reportedly looked like Daniel Jones. No sign of what happened. Obviously, you want to see him in game time, but yeah, the battle is Leonard versus Richardson. And reportedly, Leonard hasn't looked like amazing so far. So I think Anthony Richardson could actually be on this roster as their backup.
Yeah, and to see growth on both of their parts. And it's not necessarily going to be a linear thing. Guys can come up and step back. But just glad to see that Dimes is able to be out there. And hopefully when people start hitting, he's able to stay out there.
I think one of the most important things that happened in the first week of training camp is all of this confirmation about where Daniel Jones is at. Because I guess I needed to see it. And I know it's going to be different when he's playing week 1 and everything. But he's gonna be there.
There was such a diminished version of him towards the end of the season that I think like the bar for how good Daniel Jones can be, like maybe we're viewing it differently because he was playing on a broken leg, which is insane still to even say.
Yeah, his friends maybe not helping him out with making that brace for him or whatever that they get a lot of love.
Oh
Sometimes
did people like invest in that?
Yeah,
it was like there's a power balance bracelet or whatever. Like, what are we doing? The holocron crystal?
I'm not trusting my friends for anything medical.
Oh, it's a special brace that lets him play. It's like the brace that Batman had in the last Nolan movie, where his knee is all better and he kicks a wall. It kicks a hole in a stone wall. Anyway.
Not what you want. Sometimes I see or hear like a practice report of a particular play, and it really just catches my fancy. And one of them was Josh Downs, who I love. You know, they don't really have a great second outside receiver. It's mostly Nick Westbrook-Akina right now, but Josh Downs is really wide receiver too, mostly going to be playing out the slot. But there was like a couple reps where Daniel Jones tried to go to Josh Downs playing on the outside, and they said how tall is Josh Downs? 5'9"?
Yeah, I think listed at 5'10", if I'm
right. So he's probably a little shorter. Just getting engulfed by like monster 6'3" Sauce Gardner with those long arms, and just like Sauce Gardner giving him no chance. He's like literally like 6-7 inches taller and longer. But that's just a reminder. Oh, Sauce Gardner on this team. So that's great to hear. A lot of their guys who were out last year, Charvarius Ward, healthy, strong start to camp. CJ Allen missed a couple days. Their rookie linebacker to camp. He's back and immediately starting. So just, yeah, I like having Sauce Gardner. Did you get the confirmation on the size there?
Yeah, combine measurement was 5/8 and 3/4 of an inch. Maybe he's come up since then.
I doubt it. Also, a kicker battle, Spencer Schrader versus Blake Grupe, where I will predict both kickers are week 1 starters somewhere. That's a good kicker battle.
Wait, who?
That's better.
So you got them both starting somewhere. Who wins in Indy?
Grupe.
Yeah. Unanimous on Grupe.
Let's take a break. We're going to do the AFC West after the break. The Chiefs have had a lot of injuries, but maybe they aren't as bad as people think. And we'll hit the rest of the AFC West, AFC East in just a minute. Back on NFL Daily. The pads are on. Big part of this year is just guys coming off injury. Do they got it yet, or they don't? Like with the Chiefs, Rashee Rice, who had that surgery before he spent some time in jail, he's still working his way back from that knee injury. He's not really ready. He's doing some things at Chiefs camp, not all things, and they're working on him. Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, it's all gas, no brakes, a lot of hype, and they seem to have the most videos of any team on the internet because they don't have any restrictions. Some teams put the restrictions on. It's a lot of Patrick Mahomes running around. I know he's got a little compression sleeve, but he looks good. I'm believing the hype. Are you believing the hype?
Yeah. The brace looks like it's more of the encumbrance, and I'm sure there's going to be some conversations about whether or not he plays in that brace. But I think, he's Patrick Mahomes. 85% Patrick Mahomes is going to be better than 99% of the planet.
There's something about the career arc of it all that, for a guy to me, that's an all-time great, coming off the torn ACL and having like a really in off of a down couple years statistically, it just makes sense in the career arc of it all. Of, like when we're in 10 years talking about, oh yeah, remember when Mahomes came back after the ACL and was like, won the MVP? Like I can just see that.
So who's his Jimmy Garoppolo in this? Because it happened late. There's no Jimmy G. Because you're making a Brady parallel here.
No, not in that way. Because Brady had his worst year coming off a torn ACL in 2009, if you wanted to say. But there were various Brady come ups after various scandals and whatnot. I'm just saying I think he's going to.
I agree.
Xavier Worthy hurt his shoulder again at practice. That's a recurring injury. He is expected back this week at some point, so it's not a long-term injury, but he's also a guy who wasn't 100% during off-season OTAs and mini camps because he was still coming off that shoulder from a year ago. He hurt that shoulder as season started. He dove for a play. I think he caught it on Saturday and immediately gets hurt again. That's tough. It's hard to count on him. It's hard to count on Rashee Rice. Cyrus Allen is a 5th-round pick. This is what training camp's all about. That was playing first-team reps. Everyone's saying, Patrick Mahomes loves this kid, that he might be starting for this team. We'll see, but then left with a bone bruise. Unfortunately, it's not more serious because that was one where he left on a cart. So Jalen Royals, something to watch there. And then Ken Walker is there, and that seems like the new fun toy that Andy Reid is talking about. He's talking a lot about Ken Walker's receiving ability and using him a lot in the screen game. Any thoughts on the Cyrus Allen, the pass catchers in the Chiefs' orbit right now and how they're coming along?
Yeah, I think the Royals, not necessarily making all the plays that people want, right? Some of it may be wish casting because his name is perfect for a Kansas City receiver. I think Worthy. Hopefully they're just being precautious with the shoulder injury because it's one thing I go on record, I say all the time, where if you re-aggravate an injury, it just means it was never healed in the first place.
Right.
But he's he had surgery on in the offseason. He was very effusive about how he was never really back from it last year. So hopefully that is just...
Well, the fact that the first time he hits the ground in a non-tackling practice that it happens, not great.
Oh, again, maybe just precautionary because they need him. They need him. The whole plane can't be Travis Kelce relying on rookies to do it. And with all that Kenneth Walker can do, maybe the Bieniemy of it all, run game good. He's involved in the screen game. There's a whole lot of stuff that's just Patrick and Andy making things go, but they need guys to catch the ball.
It's so early. You never know what to make of defensive linemen getting pop and non-padded practices. But Peter Woods, R. Mason Thomas were their first and second round picks, not counting Mansour Delane, who, by the way, has been in a non-contact jersey coming off of his own injury, but has been out there. Reports that they look good and that they're getting a lot of first-team reps. So just something to watch as their pass rushers. And then I found it interesting that a man named Khalil Benson is getting most of the reps as the starting right tackle. So this is something I wouldn't have expected. Andy Reid more or less said, we want to see him in the game, and if he keeps taking these steps, I think he's going to be their starting right tackle over a man named Jalen Moore, who they paid $15 million a year in free agency, and kind of telling me they don't think that's working out. Or maybe Khalil Benson is just awesome. I should view it positively.
It just seems, and they trust that they have a system that they can figure this out, but they just bargain hunt at that position.
They paid $15 million a year for a backup. It just hasn't worked, and maybe they really found something. They're good. They have been good at identifying some of their own guys. He was an undrafted player, and he might be the starting right tackle for the Chiefs. Pretty amazing if that happens. The Broncos are on the field. I enjoyed an interview between Bo Nix and our two great friends, Steve Weish and Cynthia Freeland, two of the biggest Bo leavers in all of media. Steve Weish been pushing for Bo to make Quarterback Island. So check out that interview. He's been full practice, full go. He's out there. He's moving around a lot. You see him it's good that he took the offseason off to properly get better. That he's going to be handing the ball off to J.K. Dobbins, who wasn't the Broncos' first choice at running back this offseason. They were in on Ken Walker. They were maybe in on Travis Etienne, but they end up signing J.K. Dobbins. They didn't want to go over a certain price, and now J.K. Dobbins is talking big, not just about being healthy, but being really productive.
A lot of people always say, "Oh, he's good for the first 10 weeks." I'll be in the top 3 for the first 10 weeks, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, he does this every time." Well, this year, forget a top 3. I keep saying it. People think I'm crazy, but I'm gonna be number 1, and I'm gonna keep it there for the whole year. 17 games. A lot of people always get mad when I say, "Yeah, the injuries are over," because I said it last year, but that one was pretty fluky, right? This year there won't be any, and there won't be anything for anyone to say about my injuries because I'm going to play all 17 games. and I'm going to give my team everything I got for all 17 games, and I will be there for all 17 games. We can. I'll pinky promise all of you right now about that.
Yeah, that's a big promise to make. It's a very dangerous position.
That's a lot of pinkies.
Yeah, to go around. We're not social distancing anymore, so that, they'll take care of that up there at the new Broncos facility. But I just I hope that when we do talk about players and getting injured, I know there's some instances where team training staffs and they'll try to come out and say that a player didn't rehab properly or whatever. This is a very dangerous game that guys play. And the injuries are not. Nobody's going out there trying. J.K. Dobbins has not tried to get hurt.
Not that many running backs play all 17 weeks.
And I would wager, I would disagree with J.K. there. I think a lot of his injuries have been fluky. They all are, because it's a dangerous game with a lot of variables. But I hope he is able to play 17 games, because when he plays, he's very good.
I love that he used the rhetorical device I didn't realize that I used so much until I started hosting a podcast and re-listening to it sometimes, where you put sort of the imaginary peanut gallery and be like, oh, and they say all the time that, oh, he's not going to do it through 10. He was only healthy through 10 weeks, and then he gets hurt. So I like that move.
Yeah.
Me and JK.
And it's almost always true, because the attention economy drives so much of what everybody does now. And being antagonistic is the way to get a whole bunch of energy and attention.
It's also just a good way to attack them. You don't have someone specific, but then you put in a funny voice a little bit. It's not you. You're coming at them. Chef's kiss. Jonathan Cooper is practicing for this team. He is facing domestic violence charges, and there was some real thought that they might cut him. I heard some whispers. We'll see. It didn't happen. He's out there. The team says they're essentially supporting him and going to see what happens in the process. They are talking up Jonah Ellis a little bit as kind of the next edge up if Cooper is suspended. Ben Powers is there as a starting guard, according to their coach, Sean Payton, who figures to be in Canton later this week with Drew Brees getting inducted. I'm sure he's going to make his way over. We know he's the one presenting him, which is usually on video, but he's going to be the guy probably to unveil that bus, which is really cool. Sean Payton said Ben Powers, he expects to be their starter, even though they made him take a massive pay cut to stay after he played through an injury that I think required surgery. That's what happens. Like, there's no right way to handle these injuries. And then I thought it was interesting in that interview that with NFL Network, Sean Payton kind of indicated maybe a Taysom Hill reunion with the Broncos.
Taysom Hill would have had the Broncos in the Super Bowl.
Taysom Hill's had some crazy, serious injuries. So I get that they have a close relationship. I mean, Sean Payton helped make Taysom Hill a very rich man in New Orleans, and probably going to give him a shot, but his body looked like it had enough football. We'll see. Let's go to the Raiders. First day of training camp, the takeaway was Fernando Mendoza just looked more comfortable under center. And in general, the people that have come through Raiders training camp have said, okay, he has looked like as advertised, according to Albert Breer, was another guy that went through there. He did reportedly have a bad day Sunday. I think it was ESPN's beat writer said it was probably his worst day of camp. You know, you're going to have your ups and your downs. You don't need to be tracking it each day. But I think so far, so good with Fernando Mendoza. Did you happen to see the Kirk Cousins video of him doing suicides?
Did they call them suicides?
Yeah.
I did. I don't know if
that made me think maybe Mendoza's starting earlier than
I think Kirk got on that because he's not selling out there.
I know he's not selling out, but even then,
yeah, it's warm-ups. Maybe he got there a little bit late, like he had breakfast or picked the kids up from school or something. Like, who knows?
He looked like it's so rare that you see a professional athlete just look like a normal guy, but he just looked like a normal 40-year-old guy right there. Like if I'm out there, sometimes we go to the local middle school and we'll just like throw the football a little bit and shoot some hoop. They have a nice like football field that's just kind of like open sometimes, and there's people playing soccer or whatever. Like if I saw just like another guy doing, warming up doing that would make sense to me. It's just like an average guy. That's what Kirk Cousins looked like. And you got to try to beat out Mendoza. I don't know.
I don't think there's enough evidence to indicate that 12-second video is Kirk Cousins.
Fair.
Maybe it is.
Training camp is all about learning about guys you never heard of. Like when you're talking draft, and Jermod McCoy is a huge story, and I'm looking forward to see what kind of career he has, the 4th-round pick from Tennessee. Right now, he's still working his way back, practicing, but not taking all the reps, and he's with the 2nd or 3rd team. No surprise there. But one of the guys taken after him by this Raiders front office is not only battling for a starting job, is getting like the first team reps most days. A 5th-round pick by the name of Hezekiah Masses, battling last year's pick, Darian Porter. But the fact that they put him out there first, I think on a couple of the first days of camp as like the first guy, it's like, okay, so that's the thing. Sometimes you get these day 3 guys and they just impress the hell out of you in the offseason. The coaches are like, all right, let's give this guy a shot. Like that might be their starting cornerback. Just a note I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing where you have a different staff come in. Like the evaluations are not going to be hindered by any sort of sunk cost fallacy. And it's like, all right, who are the best guys for us to get in there?
They do have a thin secondary, especially at cornerback. So, like, that is an area where I think Bo Nix and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert in this division are going to be looking at that position and thinking, can we take advantage of these guys? You know who you can't take advantage of? The Tokyo Toe. Kansei Matsuzawa, who's out there trying to become a week 1 starting kicker, was a sensation in college at Hawaii, one of the best kickers in the all of college football last year. He's battling Matt Gay. That's just a fun kicker battle. I just wanted to point it out. He missed like a 50-something yarder, the Tokyo Toe, on Sunday. But, yeah, that's a battle. That's a cool battle.
Yeah, and
that's all. I don't have any take.
It's nice to have
out there.
It's nice to have a new name in these kicker battles.
Yeah.
Between the guys that are going to be on 3 or 4 different teams over the course of the next.
Matt Gay's bounced around in recent years.
Yeah, it's good to have a new addition to the kicker battle lineup.
And you know what we can confirm is that both those guys not turds, and that's because the Raiders are a turd-free facility.
Camp, is there anything that you're pleasantly surprised by? Something maybe you didn't expect to be as far as you are?
I think we just have a professional group of players. They care about getting better. We don't have any turds. We got guys that want to be here, that want to win, that want to change this place. And so I'm really happy with that.
Turds being the leftover, undigested material from a previous regime.
There you go.
I was trying to think about it, where it's like, what could he mean by that? And maybe like there's some parts left over that weren't bad. No, this roster is better than I thought.
Ashton Genty talking up that he wants to make a second-year leap. He has to become more of a leader for this team. Some reports about the offensive line, maybe not great, in terms of the run blocking. It's so early. I'm not going to have any takeaways from, like, running games in the first week of camp. Let's go to the Chargers, where Justin Herbert reportedly taking those coaching points about the quick release. I thought it was interesting. Ladd McConkey, when they asked him about Justin, he's just like, well, you guys have seen it. Like, that ball is coming out fast. It has to do a bit with his footwork and his release, and he's reportedly looked more comfortable playing in the Mike McDaniel style to start camp. Herbert had some time in front of the microphone, and he mentioned Brennan Thompson, their 4th-round pick, is going to make a lot of big plays for them, and what supports that is that he's been out there mostly taking first-team reps. A 4th-round rookie stepping in, maybe already ahead of a guy like Keandre Lambert-Smith, maybe going to be in the mix with Trey Harris behind Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston, who you figure are going to be the top 2 guys. But that's a guy who was a 4.26 guy in college and just kind of playing maybe that speed role for Mike McDaniel. He likes them fast.
And we've seen at this point, we've seen enough people in this role to know, well, that's a real thing. It's not a creation. It's just a question of it takes more than being fast. Like Devon Achane is clearly more than just fast. And to have, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, it's big shoes to fill, but thus far, that's good.
Yeah, and just the fact that he's making plays consistently early is a really great sign because that doesn't happen with every young receiver. Tuli Pelotu has not been participating fully, not doing any team drills. It appears, by all accounts, it is contract related, but the players and the coaches around the league are kind of all on the same page of these hold-in situations. I don't know if you noticed this, Patrick, where they're trying to say it's not about the contract when kind of everyone knows it is about the contract. So we'll see how that goes. 5 different offensive linemen have played first-team left guard in just 4 days. I've never seen a battle quite like this. A 5-person battle. They've been spreading it around. Jim Harbaugh said Trey Pipkins specifically, it's hard to say that he's not one of our 5 best. And so maybe he is the guy that's going to move inside from tackle to guard, which would mean their second-round pick, very high pick, Jake Slaughter, might just be a backup at center and guard. But that's a good problem for the Chargers to have some depth. I love the McDaniel, Jim Harbaugh content that's
of it all
coming out. Just the whole thing of it. Let's just take a quick look at them early in camp.
Coach, you feel the juice, Coach? You feel the juice?
Yeah, we just got too many ball guys.
You can't help yourself.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. Look at us run to the line of scrimmage.
I think of it like all the investment that's been made.
Right.
You know? It's like putting money in the bank. Now it's time to start withdrawing.
I've never wanted training camp to start more.
Oh, I love that from the Chargers. Do you think they play it up at all, knowing they're mic'd up or not, or they're not thinking about that?
No, I think that probably was one of the more tame interactions that they've had in a similar circumstance.
I'm really interested in this team. There's not as many like questions coming into the season. I think I know who this team is for the most part. We will be there as a podcast in a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. I think Jordan Rodrigo will be joining us on that show, talking to the Chargers. Let's go to the AFC East, where the Bills had an injury scare. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was carted off with an injury. Turns out it's a calf strain, which doesn't sound great, but it's not a long-term injury. Even if it's like a multi-week injury, it doesn't sound like it's something that's going to keep him out going into the season. So that is great to see. At safety, behind Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right now it's Cole Bishop and Geno Stone, who was with the Bengals and has had some tough moments there, who's taken over. Damar Hamlin even behind them, and a rookie, Jalen Kilgore. So Damar probably not going to be a starter anymore. Here's another omen for you. First play of training camp, a Keon Coleman drop. That's not what you want.
Yeah, but the Keon problems haven't necessarily been drops. They've been drops.
Some. He had one in the divisional round of the playoffs that I know it wouldn't have counted because it was called back by penalty. But it was one of the worst drops I've ever seen.
Yeah, I just think the total summation of whether or not Keon is performing as to they have him out there. I guess if anybody needs to have things to blame on Keon in the future,
you want a better omen? Very next play, second play of training camp, back to Keon Coleman. Josh Allen building up that confidence. He makes the grab. What, you don't think he purposefully went back to him after the first play as a drop so that it wouldn't linger? That's Josh Allen being a leader.
I think sometimes people drop the ball. Sometimes people catch the ball. I think we're going to need more.
I get that, but I think the second play going back to him, that's purposeful. You won't convince me otherwise.
It's real leadership.
That's right.
Maybe he was open.
No surprise the top 4 receivers have been DJ Moore, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Josh Palmer. I think they're pretty established, actually. And I think Coleman's going to play a lot for this team. The starting defensive line, Ed Oliver, Deion Walker, TJ Sanders. I got to admit, I couldn't find a lot of good Bills notes. Hit me up, Bills fans and reporters. I don't know if you have anything. You've been doing Inside Training Camp Live. I didn't know what to say about the Bills. Sometimes that happens early in training camp.
No, Josh was...
It's usually a good problem.
He's asked a lot about the differences in the McDermott and now Brady regimes, and he was like, "There's change, but a lot of things that we needed that we were doing weren't working." So, very honest to Josh Allen.
One of the offensive linemen was talking about the difference between Joe Brady and Sean McDermott, and was kind of comparing him to like a cool uncle or something, and like. You can it wasn't like it almost didn't, it's not how the player I think wanted it to come across, where it almost sounded like a kid who knows he can get away with more now that you have like a substitute teacher vibe.
And also when you say somebody's the cool uncle, it means they're not your dad. Right?
Well,
because the implication there is that there's somebody who is mainly in charge of taking care of you, and then this person only shows up on special occasions.
Being a cool uncle is important, though.
Yeah,
my brother Dean, what a role he is playing in the lives of my children. Because I'm leading off here so often. If you had any takeaway, anything you wanted to say about what's happened at the New England Patriots training camp so far, what would stand out to you?
Booty always stands out,
Okay.
Greg.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a little bit of this discussion. I think maybe they're trying to drive the price up.
No, that's ridiculous.
I don't think it's that silly.
But it's such a deep receiver group. I think there is a clear top 4 that has been established to me in the first week of training camp. That does not include Matt Collins, who is almost certainly going to make the team, and does not include my guy Kyle Williams, which is disappointing to me. Demario Douglas is a receiver I think Josh McDaniels really likes, and look, he was the guy in the Super Bowl that's still out there catching some passes. I think Drake may trust him. So the clear 1, 2, 3 is A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, Booty, and Douglas are kind of the top 4. And
Booty is rocking.
that's a new one. After a slow start, when the pads came on, A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs, a lot of action over the weekend. So people were kind of concerned that wasn't happening the first week of camp. Doubs especially was silent, and Drake May looks good. I'm a little worried about the pass rush. I think that's probably a big part of it. They don't really have much. Harold Landry seems to have a pretty serious injury, and doesn't sound like he's going to be back anytime soon. Gabe Akis, and that I found out that is the pronunciation.
Oh, there's no ya?
There's no ya. Just Gabe Akis. Signed a very strange contract because it sounds without the team wanting to put it out there publicly that they believe Akis or his agent willfully misled the public about the existence of an injury that they didn't know about, that the entire NFL didn't know about when they drafted him, and they put a crazy conditions into his contract where like things are not guaranteed through the first 3 years. There's all this injury stuff. It would sounds ugly, but Mike Vrabel's trying to like build him up, and he has started to practice. And for what it's worth, Greg Bedard, who's out there at practice, is like, this guy has definitely not been taking time off. Like, he might have the best, like, coming off the bus body on the entire team. So, Gabe Akis, we're all rooting for you.
Yeah, rooting for Gabe Akis. I do wonder with the Clowney signing in Houston. Obviously, he lives in Houston, but there's familiarity between Mike Vrabel and Jadeveon Clowney with the need there. Do we think because that this wasn't in play that there's confidence
maybe
in the group? Or are we thinking that maybe...
And they weren't one of the teams that was even mentioned. It was, I think, Clowney going to visit the Browns to get his price up a little bit, as Clowney is expert at doing, let's be real.
Because he does not like Andrew Berry.
Well, that's
he doesn't like...
That
so,
it is funny to think back that he literally went to Cleveland just to get the Texans to go up $1 million or $2 million or whatever it was. And the Seahawks were also interested in bringing in Clowney.
Maybe he just wanted them to debase themselves to have the discussion, just to be like, all right, I'm out.
I mean, if you're choosing between the Seahawks, the Texans, and the Browns in the year 2026, you live in Houston. There's a clear number 3 in that list.
Free dinner.
But yeah, their pass rush, it could be a problem. They got Draymond Jones. It's not great. Christian Gonzalez continues to fully practice, even with the pads on, so he's not holding out or doing anything, waiting for that contract. The run blocking has reportedly been pretty bad at practice, something to watch. I've been talking about Caleb Lomu as a potential left tackle, their first-round pick. He's reportedly struggled a little bit at camp, getting beaten a lot, kind of the only offensive lineman maybe getting beaten a lot. So I think it's Will Campbell's job there. Not that it wasn't in the first place at left tackle.
I feel like we need a scale to grade training camp run game.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're getting all of it.
The pads being on there at least gave me license, I feel like, to make that just early.
That
they're saying
all license, by the way.
Right, but that it's not trying to make something out of nothing. Just multiple reports of just guys in the backfield, Trayvon Henderson having no chance whatsoever because I think Ramondre had a rest day, which reminds me of last year when their running game had terrible blocking too. The Jets have practiced less than anyone. I kind of noticed this. They had more days off. They gave like a day off after day 3 and day 4, or day 5, I think. So not as many practices. Everyone's getting into pads on Monday, like I mentioned. A lot of David Bailey sacks in the first couple days of practice. Geno Smith had a 15 for 15 day. Just wanted to point that out.
You are well within your rights to point that out. We're getting everybody else's passing numbers. Geno lightened it up.
Are you more concerned if you're in this situation? It's a classic training camp dilemma of like, oh, we might have a competent quarterback now, or that our defense is allowing Geno to go 15 for 15.
I think any situation where Geno is not in serious threat to get blasted,
Yeah.
he could still spin it.
I agree. The number one test of if you're an NFL quarterback, which not everyone passes that's in the NFL, but in terms of having a long career, it seems obvious enough. Literally every NFL quarterback that has a long career, if you give them time, they will dice you up. Like in different ways and different flair, but they will dice you up. Like they're just that good. Cade Klubnik, not sure if he's going to be that type of guy or not, but he's kind of clearly the QB2 there at Jets camp. So that is a Geno injury away. And I know Geno's been durable, but I don't think there's even really a battle there for QB.
Who's he battling against? Like Zappy?
Brady Cook is there, Zappy's there, but Klubnik's getting all the reps as QB2.
As he should.
I guess so, but just, okay. A.D. Mitchell reportedly having a fast start to camp. And some injuries there. Joseph Asai, the edge rusher, and D'Angelo Pons, who we're keeping an eye on in the back end, have been out with injuries. The Dolphins are a team that aren't getting a lot of national attention. I often mention the podcast 3 Yards Per Carry. I check them out, especially during training camp. They noted that Malik Willis just absolutely on fire, killing the Dolphins defense on day 3 after just like a so-so start to camp, but just like looking great, dotting people up. And it's a lot of Caleb Douglas, their third-round receiver, is kind of the first guy that Malik Willis is looking at. Malik Washington, according to the reporters there, I believe it's Alf Ortega who hosts the show, he thinks he's probably the odds-on favorite to lead that team in targets. But that's probably your 1-2 right now. Caleb Douglas, just if you're curious, or Malik Washington as a late-round flyer in fantasy leagues. Not that crazy.
No, not crazy at all. Malik Washington should be
the
target leader based on like the numbers for the guys that are coming back, like career. It's Malik Washington and everybody else.
Quinn Ewers reportedly looked awful. It's worth noting, like, he was drafted to be in Mike McDaniel's system. That's not the system anymore for the first 3 days of camp, so they're pretty thin behind Malik Willis. Ewers reportedly looked better on Sunday. Had a little bit of a bounce back. At cornerback, it sounds like the top 3 cornerbacks right now, the rookie Chris Johnson, Juju Brents, who's like an impressive specimen, but just hasn't been able to stay healthy, and then Ethan Bonner. They got a million guys there. I've heard some Chop Robinson pop, which is nice to hear again after a down year. It sounds like Jacob Rodriguez, their second-round linebacker. I think he's going to be starting next to Jordan Brooks. And then for fantasy, Devon Achane, Jalen Wright, and then Ollie Gordon appears to be the running back order of the depth chart. So Ollie Gordon got some verbal pop from Jeff Hafley, but he's like been coming up third in terms of the depth chart. That matters more to me. What do you think about the verbal pop? Were you ever a waiter, and are you aware of the phenomenon of the verbal tip?
No, I've never delved into those waters.
Okay,
yard maintenance was my area of expertise, but I think for fantasy purposes, obviously, if you're going to handcuff the running backs, I think you need to weigh who would actually play in the event that Devon Achane isn't out there long term, who would have the majority of the snaps. And I think that verbal pop may mean like the order may not necessarily reflect who gets the play time in this situation.
Yeah, and I think especially at running back, that's going to change when you're in real live action. Not even pads, practice, but the preseason and then into the regular season. The verbal tip phenomenon, I believe, to be real as a waiter. Very often you would find that the customers who would go out of their way to be nice enough about what a good experience they have and thank you and maybe talk to you more, they would like tip less. They would feel almost like subconsciously they either felt bad about not giving you a good tip or that like they gave you the tip by just saying nice things to you, but then they're giving you like 12% or something. I feel like it happened all the time. It was a phenomenon among waiters.
I think waiters and their analyses of phenomenon are probably not necessarily trustworthy sources.
Oh, come on. We're doing it every day.
Yeah, I think confirmation bias is huge.
Yeah.
I think tipping evolved as a solution to avoid paying the formerly enslaved. I wish everybody was compensated if I could raise up the entire restaurant to obtain their due pay. I would. I would like to tell everybody, hey, I'm tipping 25% at the start, so I don't so frequently get forgotten about. That's about me and my wife.
That's actually a good move.
Eat at the bar. But I do hate that it's like, hey, I would like to be treated the same as everybody else, so I need to pay to let you know that you pay because of whatever weird analysis has caused you to think that I'm not going to tip properly. I would just like to do without the entire process personally.
I totally agree, and I have enjoyed. I don't know if this is a phenomenon that's happening across the country. There is an increasing amount of Los Angeles restaurants, which the tips included. They're presumably paying more of a living wage, and I mean, it's not even a tip that's included. It's like a charge. No, you don't like that either.
No, I don't, the last person that I trust in this is the restaurant owners and operators who have been underpaying people in the first place and forcing the public to serve that portion of their wages. I think the overall restaurant industry takes advantage of its workers to a more extent than almost anything else. But there's a better way than us doing like societal analysis by looking at a person and trying to figure out how much they're going to tip, because that doesn't go so great for everybody.
No, it's a tough business. You do like the other countries where it's not as much, and the tipping isn't as much of an issue, and they do pay their waiters more of a living wage. But I still believe in the verbal tip is a phenomenon that exists. I don't, I haven't run the analytics on it. We will do that during the break.
Okay.
We're gonna take
numbers.
We're gonna take one more, and we're gonna finish our roundup of all 32 teams in 2 days with the AFC North. More omens.
Omens.
The Bengals. First play of training camp. That was a positive omen.
Oh.
Under center. Motion. 2 tight ends on the field. Exact same was the case with the first play of pads on Monday. Again, under center, motion. Completely different type of offense than Joe Burrow has been running for his entire career, which I've always thought of as the Joe Burrow offense. It does sound like the change that they've long kind of threatened to like diversify things and not just be back there and let Joe do everything 95% of the time. Hopefully it helps out the running game. That's a big part of it. It really does look different day after day after day, according to the people on the scene there. They're working on it.
Are you taking from this, if Zach Taylor says, if it's going to be my fault, if I'm out, I'm going to have it actually be my fault.
Wow.
And, the calls, the structure, everything is going to run through me if I'm going to be gone. And whether or not you're happy about it, whether or not you're having fun, this is me.
I haven't thought of it that way. That's a great way to frame it. I love it. I think that's right.
All right.
I think that's him trying to graduate from the generic polo to maybe like one that's a little more tightly cut, showing off the muscles. We got some stripes. Or
extra medium.
Something like, or you got an NFL Network polo, like a better polo. I love that theory.
Thank you.
And maybe they were able to point out the running game and the effectiveness of the offense with Joe Flacco last year, and it was a little proof of concept for Joe Burrow to just like see it, like, oh, okay. But yeah, the under center is every day. Eric All is a third-year tight end who I think is going to be really important to this equation as an almost every down player who is that kind of versatile tight end. Also on that first day of practice was a big fight. DJ Turner and Jamar Chase getting into a fight where Chase wound up throwing his helmet. And then the thing I like about Joe Burrow is he just repeatedly started throwing to DJ Turner after that with Jamar Chase.
Chase loved it,
coverage.
By the way.
It wasn't even a thing that it happened after a play. The fight started as they called them onto the field. So they likely were chirping on the sideline about something. I don't know if I've ever seen that, where the fight started. It wasn't after a play. It was like the third team just finished up, and they're like, all right, first team back out on the field, and then they just start fighting. But reportedly, this kind of goes with a larger theme. The defense fighting back in Bengals camp. The defensive line really dominating.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a new era.
Maffei, Jonathan Allen there, Dexter Lawrence. Might be a sign, though, that the Bengals' offensive line not playing that well. But, let's look at the positive, at least, in camp. Their secondary seems pretty established for those who are tracking the draft. Sicario Davis was a guy they took in the second round. He seems pretty clearly like a backup corner. They're established. They like to bring along their guys slowly. DJ Ivey, also a backup. Jasir Taylor is getting some work as the first-team nickel, but it's mostly Jalen Davis there. And then I wanted to mention the name of a guy, Dante Myers, who is a CFL player who played at Presbyterian. I don't know if that's the full name of the college. And then Delta State in college. Apparently, like, wound up at Delta State because, like, some old high school coach of his recognized his name. He spells his name Dante a little differently. No attention whatsoever. To go from Presbyterian to Delta State to an Atlanta Falcons tryout that you didn't ever get anywhere with, to the CFL giving you a tryout, to then making the CFL and becoming one of the best players in the CFL, to now, according to Bengals reporters like Paul Daner, who's there, thinking like this guy might make the team. A little Andrew Hawkins vibes about this guy.
Got to the Rough Riders and had 8 catches for 101 yards his very first game in the CFL. It's weird how you get guys like Rashid Shaheed, two Saints here, but the Beer Man, like people that fall through the cracks, and could be good football players.
And it makes sense. Well, he's a smaller guy, so he didn't get attention, but also maybe just different guys develop at different times. The Ravens are hoping Lamar Jackson develops playing more under center, kind of like Joe Burrow. Sounds a lot like normal. I think we talked about their good omen last week, actually, that I think it was like a deep cross to Zay Flowers on the very first play of camp. So I like that 20-yard completion. A lot of Lamar just talking about how much he likes under center and that they're trying to work that into the mix. It's like Lamar 3.0. It is a totally different system to watch him running. So it'll be fun.
And the sample sizes are small, but you get Lamar on those play actions, especially like full back turn play action plays last year that we talked about, where he had 2024 numbers in play action last year. They just kind of got away from it. So the idea that they could fully invest and utilize the personnel is the real omen is having Matabike play football.
Matabike out there practicing, and he's got the neck roll, which I don't know if that's reflected, because he's had those neck injuries. He just feels more comfortable, but it looks cool. You just don't see those.
Yeah, it's back.
We're bringing back the neck roll. In terms of the receiver group, this is one where I'm maybe like slightly concerned, like no one's popping up as camp stories. Like the reports are, it's a lot of Zay Flowers. Bateman's kind of up and down, and I don't know what else.
It sounds like the Baltimore Ravens receiver.
That's what I'm saying, but I would love to just hear Elijah Surratt's killing it, but he is coming back from an injury. He reportedly doesn't look 100% early. Jacoby Lane is another rookie they drafted who's like uneven, but had a couple flashy contested catches. That sounds like how he was at college. I want one of those teams, either the Ravens or the Commanders, to sign Stephon Diggs. I think he would help fill out that room. The pass rush reportedly looking a little deeper. Mike Green, according to The Athletic, quote, far more confident, assertive, powerful. Tavius Robinson is starting there. They feel a little bit better about their pass rush depth, especially with Calais Campbell also on the field as Pats came on Monday. Not doing everything, but he's out there for the first time, so that is good to see. Travis Jones been out. How are you feeling about the Ravens defense?
You have to consider the fact that Jesse Minter took a player that wasn't productive at all with the Baltimore Ravens, and he had a lot of production towards the end of the season for the Chargers in Odafe Owe. And so what can he do with the group that remains? That's the place of confidence. And, Calais Campbell providing that depth. His mother passed away this summer. He was away from the team there. So condolences to Calais Campbell for joining what I feel like is one of the worst clubs in the world. And it feels like that for a long time. And to go through that late in his career, hopefully he's able to navigate that process, but it's different for everybody.
And when you were talking about helping out a former Raven, Jesse Minter, like last year, and could he do that again? I thought you were going to say Tony Jefferson. Tony Jefferson was on the Ravens?
Yeah, Tony Jefferson, very much a Baltimore Raven.
Right. I'm like, he bounced around, but I'm not crazy.
That was main
lore. Tony
Jefferson.
The Cleveland Browns have an over/under win total of 5.5 in Vegas. Their team owner jumping into the fray without being asked. This was not one where context would add to. He was just kind of freestyling and just brought that up, and he said, I would take the over.
And I would take it that NFL ownership doesn't do the extensive amount of PowerPoint presentations that we do regarding discussions about gaming, because it seems like that would be if Jimmy Haslam had like a 15-year NBA career, this would be enough for the current FBI to investigate.
The schedule is favorable. There are really talented players on this roster. There's a route to it happening, but they need better quarterback play. And Zach Jackson, who I listen to in terms of his podcast and at The Athletic, has just noted that, Watson's bad days have just been awful. 6 interceptions so far, some alarmingly bad days, some better days too. But I just continue to be confused why they are trotting him out there on NFL Network. Maybe we requested him. Just why?
No idea.
Because there's some reporting that, depending on the day, like Taylon Green is a rookie that's kind of frisky that they might want to hold on to on their actual roster. And then, you got Gabriel. Like some days has looked like the best quarterback, supposedly. It sounds to me, reading between the lines, that Shedeur Sanders, on balance, has been the best quarterback there. And then, so you add that all up, and I see a realistic possibility that Deshaun Watson is just not on the roster.
That would make total sense.
Right.
But then there's aspects like him still being on the roster and this still being a possibility.
This was like the one last chance. Let's see if he comes out and looks any better in camp. He's fully healthy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's just not that guy as a player. Put everything else aside. Quinshon Judkins is out there just doing everything. Love it. Reportedly looking really strong, positive, injury recovery news there. And then I texted our friend Andrew Siciliano if he had any takes. And a lot of it was like, Jared Verse as advertised, a lot of things you'd expect. The quarterbacks, some good days, some bad. But he said something I've seen elsewhere too, which is both rookie receivers, especially Denzel Boston, but also Casey Concepcion's speed really showing up, but just that Denzel Boston catching everything in his zip code. And that has been the case throughout the entire offseason program. And he's lined up against some good players like Denzel Ward making catches. Keep an eye on that rookie Denzel Boston. They got some fun players at Cleveland Browns.
It's fun. It's fun to think about, other than the one thing that's decidedly not fun.
But Shedeur will give them a chance. Like, Shedeur holds onto the ball. Like, I can see where the ceiling seems a little limited for Shedeur unless he just locks in at some point mentally at like another level. Because, like, he's not that athletic. He's not that big. You know what I mean? And so you got to get your advantages in other ways. But I do think he will be aggressive. Like, he'll take his chances. Let's wrap up with the Steelers. We got to get Patrick to his regular job. Is that the case right now?
No, I just checked the meeting is being.
They're holding it for this right now.
No,
I don't want to get in trouble.
They're holding it because there's inside training camp. We're good.
Okay.
There's a lot of moving parts, so
because
we're holding.
I do not want to get in trouble with the Mouse. Our last team, 16th team, the Steelers. Jaylen Warren, 1A in the backfield with Rico Dowdle and Caleb Johnson behind him. Are you ready to buy in on Jaylen Warren?
I'm ready. I am ready to buy in on Jaylen Warren, and I would like to issue a full apology to Jaylen Warren and Gregg Rosenthal.
Wow.
Any sort of thing, because I don't want Gregg to keep leaning into this.
Okay.
I hate Jaylen Warren thing.
No, it's just the fun bit that only me and you really care about. Because you just thought he was okay. Roman Wilson has been getting most of the third receiver reps over the rookie Jeremy Bernard. Mike McCarthy is a coach who generally makes you kind of earn it as a rookie. But according to Mark Kaboli, who covers the team for the Pat McAfee show, Max Ihanachor taking third team reps and, kind of looking like a rookie. He was thought of as a bit of a project potentially. And at least Kaboli thinks it's going to be an uphill battle for their first round pick to start. Similar to their mid-round rookie, Jennings Dunker, who might be really far away from making an impact there at guard. So maybe slow goings with the rookie offensive lineman, which to me would be a little disappointing, but it's early in camp. Asante Samuel Jr., according to The Athletic, has been the standout.
There it is.
Of training camp.
Love.
Kind of forgot he's on this team.
Yeah, love an older veteran being a standout in camp. Showing that it's going to be different. I think that was the overall like we talked with Max Starks. Just not only is it different from the previous regime, but it's different from some of the things that Mike McCarthy has done. Like everything, it feels like if people think that things got trenched in and they were too same for the Pittsburgh Steelers, at the very least, it's different.
It's different. Yeah, they're moving their players around on defense more. But Samuel, who was good enough to be ranked quite high on my 2024 free agents list when he was available. I didn't really realize the severity of his neck injury that he was coming off, but I had him in like a top 40 player in terms of free agents. Like, he came back from that injury last year. Mike McCarthy said he's like, no lie, I can't like lie. Like, Asante Samuel Jr. is one of my favorite players, and he used the word physical, bringing him up. And like, this is a guy who's maybe seen his career flash before his eyes. If they get a plus starter out of him, that is kind of found money, because he's on I think a 1-year, $4 million contract, very cheap for a player of his ability. They signed a guy, Malik Harrison, from the Ravens, that was supposed to potentially be a starter and who's been buried in the linebacker rotation, so it doesn't sound like he's going to be starting. There reportedly haven't been a lot of snaps for Drew Aller and Will Howard because just Aaron Rodgers gets everything. Don't love that.
It's the last dance, man. It's the last dance.
You got to develop these young guys. You got to figure out. I hope Mason Rudolph's not getting much. Just Rayshon Jenkins is a NFL veteran who plays safety, who the Steelers signed recently while cutting Darnell Savage, who is a guy who's played a lot of football in the NFL. So again, different coaching staff has different kind of types of guys that they like, and they're moving out with some guys that they have played a decent amount, and I thought was going to have a decent role. Let's wrap up our sound with Mike McCarthy talking about our man Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he'd like to play. I would like to see him play. So, but we won't make a decision until we get all the way up to it, because there's more that goes into that. Just having one player play. It's the culmination of players.
Aaron Rodgers had mentioned McCarthy told him he was going to play 30 to 40 snaps in the preseason, and McCarthy sounded like didn't want that cat out of the bag, because he could change his mind. Like, if he's just not feeling that he wants the whole offense to be out there, he might change his mind.
Yeah, it's an honest evaluation of the entire offense, and some of that's going to require Aaron, and it doesn't always have to happen in a game.
There was a piece by Mike Silver about Aaron Rodgers where I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers took credit for the Mike McCarthy hire, but he did say that on his exit interview with ownership that, hey, most ownership, they're always looking at like the new thing. And I think Mike McCarthy would be great with another chance at coaching. And then they interviewed Mike McCarthy. Maybe it was on Aaron. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is responsible for Mike McCarthy having this job.
He also said that he wouldn't have come back. He would have retired if it wasn't Mike McCarthy. So
I'm old enough to remember that they didn't leave on good terms.
No,
they literally didn't speak for like years afterwards.
But this is offseason all about healing relationships. His wife, I'm forgetting her name. Brandy?
I don't think it's out there. Oh, I don't know her name.
It's Brandy with an I, perhaps. Has helped him heal his relationships with his family. Maybe Mike McCarthy. Maybe medicine.
Medicine is important.
Yeah.
Medicine will be used, I'm sure, on the Bears safety, Kobe Bryant. I know it's an AFC show, but as we're taping, their big free agent signing, who is going to start for them, is expected to be sidelined for 8 to 10 weeks. So that would take him into, a good portion of the regular season, might be starting on the PUP list, something like that. He had a 3-year, $40 million contract, was really good for the Super Bowl winning Seahawks last year. So that's unfortunate news. And the latest in 49ers injury news is Mike Evans is now out of practice. I'm not going to panic. It's just a training camp practice. But
Mike Evans isn't going to forget how to play football.
Everyone's out of practice there that can catch a football. So you get a little worried. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you
for filling in, for jumping in. We have Patrick at least once a week lately.
Yeah.
And you've got your regular day job. Where can people see you?
We've got the Insiders coming up at 4:00 Pacific. That was the 7:00 Eastern. But I hope we don't see it as filling in.
I don't know why I said that.
No, it's fine.
I've said a lot of things that were poor.
No,
in this match, in this game, I called in this show, I called Aaron Rodgers our guy leading into the sound. I was like,
no,
not our guy.
But yeah, in the event that it ever is filling in, getting a chance
to
do this podcast, Greg, I'm just saying thank you. I'm just saying thank you to you and Eric, and because to be perfectly honest, who knows? Kyle Shanahan said we don't know where anybody's going to be, and so passing out flowers, and to you guys, the viewers as well. I'm not going anywhere.
I love that we have started this week so strong, back to back, hitting all 32 teams. And what's going on at training camp, we're going to try to do that at different points during the regular season. We will be back on Tuesday with a news show, just kind of like a news catch up. But we're also gonna have a special new guest. For the show to preview the AFC South. I'll let it be a surprise.
Oh, it's a tease.
It's a tease. We'll see you then.